Hello and welcome back to the Adventures of Super Clairey. I have got a list of tips that I wrote after the last time I went. Now they're probably going to be repeating what a lot of other people are saying, but this is my version of it. My first tip is to download the Disneyland Paris app. So it's probably obvious, but I would download it at least a month before you go. If you're excited and you have a countdown, then that's what you should do. Basically, it shows you the maps of the park. It gives you times of when the shows are, when the parades are, when the characters are in their spots for their meet and greets, and basically you get to plan your trip that way. So what I did the last time I went is I made a bucket list of everything that I wanted to do on that trip. Now some of them I hadn't done before, like I'd never been on Crash's Coaster because it's always a long wait, so we did that in extra magic hours. I just wrote a list of rides that I really wanted to go on, or shows that I wanted to do that, you know, I maybe didn't do last time. I can't remember why it was those in particular, but it was a good thing. So then, and I didn't take it with me, but I knew what I wanted to do, and I came back and I ticked it all off, and I was like, oh, that's good. We were in the parks 3 days that time, and I would say that is a really good amount of time for Disneyland Paris. If you've maybe got younger kids, you could probably do more, but we managed to get everything done, and some of it twice, in those 3 days. My second tip is, if you are staying overnight, I would recommend staying on site. So the first time me and Josh went, we stayed at the Cheyenne, Hotel Cheyenne I think it's called, which is kind of like a Western theme, and they've recently rethemed it to have some Woody stuff, like Toy Story stuff, but sort of Woody's Roundup style in the rooms and around that area, which was really nice to have a little bit of Disney theming in the room and stuff. And then the second time we stayed at Santa Fe, which is now a Cars themed hotel. And again, it's not that much theming, but it's still nice to see the sort of little bits of Disney around. Those are the value resorts, and it takes about 15-20 minutes to walk to the parks. There's a lot of walking in Disney, so you might not want to do that. And there are buses that go to the front of the park, so you don't have to walk if you don't want to, but it does mean that if you want to have a little break from the parks for a couple of hours, you can just go back to your room and have a little chill out and then go back later. We didn't do that, but you can do it if you want to, especially if you have kids. I would say that's probably a good idea to do that. I have never stayed off site at Disneyland Paris, so I can't recommend anything there for you. But there are a lot of hotels in the sort of Val d'Europe area, which is a shopping area with a supermarket and stuff like that, so I'm sure you can find good deals there. And I've heard that it's quite a good, I think you can get the train, and there are other shuttles and all that kind of stuff, so that's something that you could look into. Tip number 3 for me is it's about food. And Disneyland Paris is expensive. Now Disney is expensive, but I feel that Disneyland Paris is more expensive. It feels more expensive than America, and I don't know if that's because the exchange rate wasn't great when we went, and obviously with the euro it hasn't been great for a while. Lose my train of thought. Food, that's what I was talking about. When you're buying meals, they are big enough to share, especially they'll have sort of 3 menu options, and then they'll have like a special option, which you tend to get a little bit more on. And if you go for that, then definitely share it, because there is like a Texas barbecue restaurant in, I don't have my map. Oh, I have a map. Ooh. Sorry, I just looked for my map. Just look for my map because I really want to remember what the restaurant's called, so bear with. Oh, they don't make it easy, do they? Here's the list of restaurants on the map. I don't know if that's going to be backwards or not, but there it is. And the one that we went to was called the Cowboy Cookout Barbecue, and it was round from Big Thunder Mountain. And it was near, so Mickey and Minnie were doing a meet and greet around that area as well, and they sort of had like Day of the Dead type Mexican costumes, and they looked adorable. Anyway, so we went there and we got this barbecue thing, and it had ribs and sausage and a bit of chicken and fries, and obviously you get a big drink, and I think it had a pecan pie as well. And for me and Josh, that filled us both up. So if you have that too, like, we watched other people eating that, one each, and it's about 26 euros, and it's quite expensive. Like, it's, you know, it's just meat and chips. So it's not worth a lot, you know. Anywhere else you wouldn't pay that, basically. So definitely recommend sharing where you can, and not everything is burgers and fries in Disneyland Paris. So you have Colonel Happy's Pizza Outpost. That was closed when we went, but I've had pizza at Disneyland Paris before and it was yummy. I think we went to the Hakuna Matata. I think we had meatballs there. That was good. So, like, you know, some of the meals we didn't share, but you know, if you're not that hungry, then just share a meal, because you'll save yourself so much money. One other thing is, don't go to the Hyperion Cafe in Discoveryland. Every time we have been in there, it has been absolutely rammed. It is good because if you want to have a sit down, they have these benches at the front, in front of a stage. I don't know if there's normally a show there, but there's never been a show when we went, and they just show cartoons, so it's nice to have a little chill out for half an hour or whatever. But don't eat there. Because it will take, when we went in Christmas, it took us about an hour to get food, and we were knackered by that point as well. Also, if you can, try and eat outside the normal meal time. So, you know, eat lunch a little bit earlier or a little bit later, more like 3 o'clock or something, because there's less likely to be queues at those times. Ramble. Tip number 4. The next one. Make sure you use FastPass. We didn't utilise this the first time we went. We still managed to get a lot done, but the only way you'll really get on Thunder Mountain is if you have a FastPass. And really, in Disneyland Paris, I don't think a lot of people realise about the FastPasses. It felt like, because so we went on, I think we went on Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin about 3 times and had a FastPass every time, and it was for about half an hour after we had got the FastPass, or some of them the FastPass time is like now. So make sure you utilise FastPass, because I think a lot of people don't realise that you can use it, because it's still the old sort of paper system where you put your ticket in a machine and then it gives you a paper FastPass. You don't get to keep them, unfortunately, you have to give them in. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realise, or they didn't seem to when we were there. So make sure you utilise FastPass where you can, especially for the big rides like Space Mountain and Thunder Mountain. Sorry, Hyperspace Mountain is awesome. Tip number 5, meeting characters. Now, meeting characters isn't for everyone, but I love it. It's one of my favourite things to do at a Disney park, because, you know, that's why you go. Well, that's why I go. Like, for instance, I have to meet Minnie and Mickey, and I have to meet Goofy now, because Goofy is my all-time favourite character to meet, because he's always so much fun. And I don't know, like, not so much in Disneyland Paris. I don't know if there is a language barrier, but definitely in America, I love Goofy, and now Goofy is part of my family. Yes, I brought him on my last trip. He came home with me. So, meeting characters anyway. The character that I would really recommend at Disneyland Paris is meeting Darth Vader. It was so good. And if you've ever met any of the other Star Wars characters before, it's just so different to the meeting, you know, Minnie or Mickey or anything like that, because we met Kylo Ren in America and it was one of the scariest things, and like you just don't think that it would be scary, but meeting Darth Vader was really scary and just really intimidating because he's so tall, but it was such a good experience, so I definitely recommend that. We decided to do that on a day that we Disney banded for the first time. So Josh Disney banded as Han Solo and I did Chewbacca. So if you don't know what Disney banding is, basically you're dressing like a character without actually dressing as the character. So adults in Disney aren't allowed to dress as characters that children would meet in the parks. So like you couldn't wear like a Snow White costume or Cinderella or anything like that, because it's just confusing and it's not fair on children. So Disney banding is basically sort of just using your normal clothes to dress as a character. I'm not sure if I've really explained that very well, but if you look up Disney banding, you'll basically find out what it is. The other good way to meet characters is doing the character breakfast. Well, is doing the character breakfast. So we did the character breakfast at the Plaza Gardens, which is just, so if you're walking down Main Street towards the castle, it's just on the right hand side behind sort of the trees, and there's a little fountain, and it's on the right hand side. It's the only restaurant there. Shut up, Claire. We did a character breakfast there. It was the cheapest option to do a character breakfast. It was good because we maybe met about 6 characters. So we met Minnie, Mickey, Donald, Tigger, Eeyore. I can't remember. There was definitely those 5 characters anyway. Now it was good, but it's not the same as America, and you have to remind yourself that at Disneyland Paris if you have been to Florida. If you haven't, then you probably wouldn't notice the difference. It felt rushed and it didn't really feel like they were giving you the interaction time. I don't know if it's because I'm a grown up. I didn't have any grown up. I don't know if it's because I'm an adult and I didn't have any kids with me, but like when I tried to do a little bit of interacting with them, they just didn't seem to be able to give me that much. Again, maybe it's a language barrier because, you know, maybe they only speak French in France. But definitely a good way to get a load of characters in a short amount of time. You also get to go, if you stay in a Disney resort anyway, you get extra magic hours, but you actually get to go in earlier than extra magic hours, which is a perfect opportunity to get pictures in front of the castle when there's no one there. And we got some really nice photos. It was a gorgeous morning, so the lighting was lovely as well. So I would definitely recommend it for that if that's what you want. But if you are going to do it, make sure you take some like Tupperware with you or little baggies, because we only ate maybe 2 plates, but like not even big plates, and like obviously you're spending a lot of money. I think it was about 35 euros each, which maybe isn't that much because you're obviously getting to meet the characters, but I don't feel like we made the most of the food, and we probably could have saved ourselves a little bit of money later on in the day, but hey ho, didn't think of it at the time. So I'm passing my tips on to you. My last tip is sort of for the fireworks, the parades and the cavalcade, which is sort of a show they do in the centre and in front of the castle. There's sort of a central hub, and they do shows there in the middle of the day. So for the fireworks, we stood, so they have in the central hub, there are 4 flower beds. Now it's good, we stood at the back flower beds, but we stood behind the railing. No one's allowed to stand on the railing, and then no one's standing in front of you, so you get a really good view of the fireworks. Well, it's mainly the castle, obviously the fireworks are in the sky, but with the illuminations and the projections they now do in the castle, it was worth. I mean, we probably got there about 45 minutes before the fireworks started, but we didn't really have anything else to do, so it was just get the place now, and we'll get a good place to see. So yeah, definitely worth that. For the cavalcade, we stood on the sort of outer circle, but I wish that we should have stood in the middle. I don't know why we didn't. I think I didn't really know what it was going to be at the time, so definitely stand in the middle if you can and try and get a good space, again near, like in front of a flower bed, because they have the stages in the middle, and they have a different character on each one. And again, for the parade, it doesn't really matter where you stand. However, I think we tried to see the parade twice. The second time we saw it, we were stood in a really weird place in the middle where they were playing one bit of music on that side that you could hear and one bit of music on this side where we were standing, and so we didn't end up staying for the whole thing because it was really irritating just hearing the two. So I would definitely recommend being on Main Street or somewhere, you know, where you're not going to hear two things on the different sides of the central hub in front of the castle. But Main Street is definitely the best place to view a parade in my opinion. That's it. I thought I had more, probably do, but if you have any tips that you want to share with me, because you never know when you're going to go back to Disney, because I don't, or I am planning on going to Disneyland California. Oh, I've lost it now, I've been talking for too long. We're planning on going to California next year, hopefully, for our honeymoon. So if you've got any tips for that as well, I'd really appreciate it. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Oh, I have one more tip. Bonus tip. If you're planning on going back to Disney within a year, get an annual pass. This might seem a bit extreme. However, you will basically save yourself money on tickets. You will also get discount on certain things that you buy. I don't know exactly what it is, but you can get discount on your hotel stay, and you can get discount on merchandise and stuff like that. I think it's only about 10%, but basically I should have got an annual pass when we went in December, because it would have been cheaper for us going back in October. I didn't know we were going to be going back within the year, so there you go. But if you know that you're going to go back within a year, if you go twice on an annual pass, you're basically saving yourself money. So, so you buy a 1-day ticket, get an annual pass, and then you can go as much as you want, and it doesn't matter. That will be a bonus tip for hardcore fans like me. Again, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll have another video for you soon. I have some big news to share soon, but I can't share it yet, so I'll let you know. But hopefully this is me back. I'll see you soon. Bye.